Just to give you a background, this is a flashback sequence. It's for those of you who haven't read the book. It's of Shiva as a young chief in the area of Mount Kailash, and his uncle, his beloved uncle, has just been killed. Okay, and it's on that section. Okay. Blood dribbled into the water, creating unhurried ripples which expanded slowly to the edges of the cistern. Shiva bent over the container as he watched the rippling water distort his reflection. He dipped his hands in the water and splashed some on his face, washing off the blood and gore. Recently appointed chief of the Gunas, he was in a mountain village far from the comforts of the Mansarovar lake. It had taken his tribe 3 weeks to get there, despite the punishing pace he had set. The cold was bone-chilling, but Shiva didn't even notice. Not because of the heat that emanated from the Pakriti huts that were being gutted by gigantic flames, but because of the fire that burnt within. Shiva wiped his eyes and stared at his reflection in the water. Raw fury gripped him. Yakhya, the Pakriti chieftain, had escaped. Shiva controlled his breathing, still recovering from the exhaustion of combat. He thought he saw his uncle, Manobhu's bloodied body in the water. Shiva reached out below the surface of the water with his hand. "Uncle!" The mirage vanished. Shiva squeezed his eyes shut. The macabre moment when he had found his uncle's body replayed in his mind. Manobhu had gone to discuss a peace treaty with Yakhya, hoping the Pakritis and the Gunas would end their incessant warmongering. When he hadn't returned at the appointed time, Shiva had sent out a search party. Manobhu's mutilated body, along with those of his bodyguards, had been found next to a goat trail on the way to the Pakriti village. A message had been written in blood on a rock next to where Manobhu had breathed his last. Shiva, forgive them, forget them. Your only true enemy is evil. All that his uncle had wanted was peace, and this is how they had repaid him. Where's Yakhya? Bhadra's scream broke Shiva's chain of thoughts. Shiva turned. The entire Pakriti village was up in flames. Some 30 dead bodies lay strewn across the clearing, brutally hacked by the enraged Gunas seeking vengeance for their former chief's death. 5 Pakriti men knelt on the ground, tied together, a continuous rope binding their wrists and feet. Both ends of the rope had been hammered into the ground. The fierce Bhadra, bloodied sword in hand, led the 20 Guna guards. It was impossible for the Pakritis to escape. At a distance, another contingent of Guna warriors guarded the shackled Pakriti women and children, unharmed thus far. The Gunas never killed or even hurt women and children. Never. Where is Yakhya? Repeated Bhadra, pointing his sword menacingly at a Pakriti. We don't know, the Pakriti answered. I swear, we don't know. Bhadra dug his sword point into the man's chest, drawing blood. Answer, and you shall have mercy. All we want is Yakhya. He will pay for killing Manobhu. We didn't kill Manobhu. I swear on all the mountain gods, we didn't kill him. Bhadra kicked the Pakriti hard. Don't lie to me, you stinking asshole of a yak. Shiva turned away as his eyes scanned the forest beyond the clearing. He closed his eyes. He could still hear his uncle Manobhu's words echo in his ears. Anger is your enemy. Control it. Control it. Shiva took deep breaths as he tried to slow down his furiously pounding heart. If you kill us, Yakhya will come back and kill all of you, screamed the Pakriti at the end of the rope line. You will never know peace. We shall have the final vengeance. Shut up, Kaina, shouted another Pakriti, before turning to Bhadra. Release us. We had nothing to do with it. But the Pakriti seemed to have come unhinged. Shiva, shouted Kaina. Shiva turned. You should be ashamed to call Manobhu your uncle, roared Kaina. Shut up, Kaina, screamed all the other Pakritis. But Kaina was beyond caring. His intense loathing for the Gunas had made him abandon his instinct for self-preservation. That coward, he spat. Manobhu bleated like a goat as he shoved his intestines and his peace treaty down his throat. Shiva's eyes widened as the rage bubbling under the surface broke through. Screaming at the top of his lungs, he drew his sword and charged. Without breaking a step, he swung viciously as he neared the Pakratis, beheading Kaina in one mighty blow.